Hey everyone, welcome back to Muse Themes. Ashton here again with another widget tutorial. Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of our new Elastic Skill Bars widget. Now I'm going to refresh the page here so we can see a little bit more of the visual effects going on here. And as you can see, this is a widget to display progress bars in a much more engaging way than the norm, whether that be skill level, proficiency, or progress really of any sort. This would be great for portfolio sites or even any page or site that shows progress on a project, such as a fundraiser or construction. It's a pretty cool little widget and quite simple to set up. So let me jump over to Muse right now and dive right in. And I'm just going to work with a blank page for right now. We'll jump over to our library, drag the widget out, and drop it onto the center of our page. There we go. Now let's open the settings panel. Now it looks pretty minimal at first, and reason being that most of the settings here pertain to each specific progress bar individually, and the options there are quite extensive, and we're going to get to those in a moment. The first two options up here are the only global settings for the widget. First one being an option for auto-closing progress bars. This closes the bars after you've scrolled further down the page and the bars are out of the viewport. So when you scroll back to the bars, they will reanimate when this option is enabled. Next one here is approximate animation duration. This controls the time that it takes to actually complete the animation. Now this can't really be calculated to the millisecond, so that's why it's notated as approximate. So we suggest that if you're adjusting this, just give it a browser preview to see how it suits and then adjust accordingly. Now let's jump into the dropdown for the first progress bar. And as you can see, there are a ton of options here, and many of them are pretty self-explanatory, so it's probably not necessary to explain each one here individually, but I do want to hit a few primary important options. And beyond that, I think you'll find that you can fine-tune things pretty darn extensively with just a little bit of experimentation. Let's start with the progress option, pretty key here. This sets how far the slider will move down the bar from 1 to 100%. 100% complete text, this is the label on the slider. Now keep in mind that this is just the text only. The setting above sets the actual percentage of travel, so you're going to want to make sure these settings match. Animation delay, this sets a delay before the animation begins for any individual line. And this is useful if you don't want all of your progress bars to animate at the exact same time. So the best way to use this is to use no delay for the first bar, and then create an increasing delay for subsequent bars. So for example, in our demo, we have no delay on bar 1, and then 250 milliseconds for bar 2, 500 milliseconds for bar 3, and 750 milliseconds for bar 4. And this staggers the time nicely. So like it says here, we're going to leave this first one at 0. Let's jump down to this section here that includes folded bar height, bar inset, and bar stretch. This section is focused on the visual of the bar itself. Now note that if you use a thicker bar, you can use an internal section of the bar, which is the inset, that has a separate color from the outer part if desired. And bar stretch is the amount that the bar stretches up and down when it animates on screen. Jumping down next to our bar bleed section. Now in most cases, you can probably just leave this setting as default. However, if you have any trouble with something being cut off or clipped in the browser, you can increase these bleed values. For example, if you use a drastic value for the bar stretch setting, that makes the bar stretch downward drastically, but it will be clipped as it overlaps with the bar below. So you can remedy this by increasing these bleed values. Now I want to jump down to this bottom section here for description. We have an option to enable a description, and that is the label that is seen next to the bar, and you can set it to appear on either side of the bar with this description side option here. And description margin. This sets the space between the label and the bar. Now just for the sake of demo, I'm going to create a fourth progress bar before we give this a browser preview. The widget has 3 progress bars enabled right out of the box, and to enable additional ones, we just need to select the enable option here on top. And we'll give this one some customization for it to fit in nicely with the others. Let's do an 80% progress. I'll make an animation delay of 900 milliseconds. For foreground color, I'm going to use the same custom orange colors that are used on the other ones. So for this one here, we'll do FA6900. And for background color, we'll do FDC399. Now for description, let me title this one as vectors. Description font color, I'll do all 6s here to keep it consistent. Font family will enter Proxima-Nova. And description font size, we'll put at 22. Perfect. Now let's give this a browser preview. Beautiful. Everything's animating in and functioning perfectly, and in no time at all, we've got an eye-popping visual effect here to showcase progress of any sort right here on our Muse website. One last note I'll make here, if you're wondering about responsiveness of this widget, it is fully responsive. It will automatically adjust to the size of the screen that it's being viewed on. Now, if you start resizing the browser window to test it, it's not just going to resize on the fly. It will load appropriately, though, if you resize and then refresh. And this really best represents real-world usage anyway. So thanks again for watching, everybody. If you have any issues, shoot us a message in support and we'd be glad to assist. Otherwise, enjoy this widget. Thanks again for joining me today, and I hope to catch you in another tutorial again soon. Cheers.